What's happening, everybody? I'm back. It's me, your resident supervillain, Mr. J. Washington. I'm here with my review for Judas and the Black Messiah. Now, if you have not seen this film yet, come on back because it's going to be spoilers. I mean, I don't know pretty much how many spoilers you need, knowing that this is based off of an actual events and actual things that happened. This was a very, everybody says it all the time, it's a highly anticipated movie. For many people who grew up through the Black Panther movement, who've experienced it or heard the tales, myself personally, growing up on the south side of Chicago, as part of my childhood, hearing stories from former members of the Panthers themselves, our local aldermen being members of the Panthers. We've heard all these stories. We've heard the tales of Chairman Fred Hampton. We've heard Huey P. Newton. We heard how he was murdered in his sleep, how he was only 21, how he was a revolutionary, how the government killed him. All of these things you heard, and those feelings resurfaced, because at first when you're a kid, you hear this and you think it's a wives' tale, if you will. Again, as a kid, as you get older, as you do, studying history yourself, and you start seeing these things and learning them for yourself, you see this is real. And the translation that you get, thanks to Shaka King, thanks to the Lucas brothers, with this, and more importantly, the phenomenal acting that comes from Lakeith Stanfield, Daniel Kaluuya, Dominique Fishback, Ashton Sanders, A.G. Smith, Darrell Britt Gibson. It's amazing. It's incredible. To see how it all started, to see Martin Sheen as J. Edgar Hoover, and knowing that Hoover's whole thing was he didn't want a black messiah, the belief that somebody would, rise up amongst the ranks of black people and unify blacks together to try to overtake and just kill and destroy white people, basically. It's so funny, and I use the term ironically, to see that and to hear that, because we are living in this day and age, again, if you will, where you are having so many people now saying that let's not hope that our push for black equality turns into black supremacy, when that is not a thing. That can't be a thing. Black people are 16% of the population of the United States of America. Granted, yes, we want equality because we have contributed to almost, if not more than half, of the accomplishments and the advancements in the country. But I digress. To see Lakeith Stanfield play Bill O'Neill, the man who was a crook, who got caught up by an FBI agent, as we see in the film played by Jesse Plemons, and told, in exchange for your freedom and not going to jail, I need you to infiltrate the Black Panther Party. And, him hearing that he might get 6 years or so, didn't want to do 6 years, so he went with it. And as he further started seeing what the Panthers were, what they were about, what Chairman Fred meant when they said they wanted to help the kids. They wanted to feed these babies and get, hospitals and clinics built. And they were not going to stand for the abuse from police. That was the most radical thing, I think it was, of the Black Panthers. And we see this in the film, that they stood up for the community, for the black community, not just in Chicago, but around the country with various chapters. And you see how the most radical thing they were doing were fighting back against the police, who were terrorizing black and brown people. It is very indicative and mirroring of what we go through today. That is the most radical thing a black or brown person can do, is to speak out against the police, because we're supposed to automatically believe that the police are here for us and we are supposed to obey them as if they are our masters. Pardon me, which they are not. To see how Chairman Fred speaks when he takes the stage and when he addresses the crowds, and how he commands it, and that speaks volumes to Daniel Kaluuya's performance. Pardon me. We see the power when he invokes those speeches, when he invokes those words, when he first meets Sister Deborah, played by Dominique Fishback. Excuse me. how he invokes and how he speaks when he first meets Sister Deborah, played by Dominique Fishback, who was phenomenal. And I had to watch, and I was like, yo, where do I know her from? Project Power. Great movie on Netflix. I personally loved it with Jamie Foxx and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. But to see how she was always drawn to him and him having to have the small love, and later on in the film, how after she realizes she's pregnant, that she would always be fighting for him and not fighting for the cause, because Chairman Fred had always believed his life was for the movement. He would give his life for the people, where she was like, yo, I understand that and respect that, but you've got more than just you and me. There's a child here. And you saw all that. To see Lakeith Stanfield going back to playing Bill O'Neill and watching how his nerves, you see the nerves of a man who knows he's on bullshit, for lack of better words. The nerves of a man who knows he's setting up someone to take the fall, and he doesn't know at first how far the fall will be. To know he's setting up someone who is legitimately doing good. A man who, where we see in the film, a man who is not just trying to promote black supremacy, because what does he do? He reaches out to a white supremacist church where those are, they're vocal in white power and whatnot. He reaches out to them to let them know that despite our skin colors, our struggles are the same. He reaches out to the what was there? I forgot. I wrote it down. Excuse me. To the young lords. He reaches out to them, the Latino brothers of Chicago. And that is how we get the Rainbow Coalition, which people will know Jesse Jackson, prominent member of that. But these are true stories. These are really how things, it reaches out to the crowns, the gangs too. And then you hear, this is some Chicago stuff, when you hear them reach out to the Stones and to the Disciples, to the Black P. Stone Rangers. Jeff Fort ran them. The Gangster Disciples, Larry Hoover ran them. They put Larry Hoover under the jail as well as Fort, because not because of just the organization of the gangs. Because yes, we know gangs now are known for criminal and violent activity. This is what we know. But what many people fail to realize and fail to accept is the reason they were started were to protect the communities, were to protect those individual neighborhoods, to help those neighborhoods grow, develop, and build. You had the Gangster Disciples who, yeah, they were about, standing on their own, and if they had to rumble, they had to rumble, but it was about growth and development. It was about the brothers on the struggle. It was about making sure your community grew and prospered and rise. You have all of these things. I watched this, and there's so many quotes from it. One of the biggest quotes I took was when we first are introduced to Bill O'Neill, when he's in the room with Brother Jake Wentz and everything. And we talk about what's the difference between war and politics. And he says, war is politics with bloodshed. Politics is war without bloodshed, which is so true. Again, I hate to consistently bring the comparisons, if you will, to today, but what else can you do? How else can you not see it? We have said many times, we being the public, that history is repeating itself in some way, shape, form, or fashion. The struggles, the marches for equality and justice, things that we've done as a society 30, 40, 50 years ago that we are doing again because we act like they never happened. And so to see all of that, to see the crowd around, the draw, the appeal of Chairman Fred Hampton speaks volumes. I want to speak, like I said, Lakeith Stanfield plays phenomenally. Daniel Kaluuya is mind-blowing. It brings chills down your spine. Yes, he does not look exactly the same as Fred Hampton. Understand. But that power, that command, that belief in what he stood for, you see that permeate through the screen every single time. The cast also, like I stated before, one of the cast members that really stuck out to me is the sister who plays Judy. Badass Judy Harmon. For those who don't know, Judy Harmon is played by Dominique Thorne. Dominique Thorne for all of my Mad Titan fans and all of my comic book nerds and geeks is our future Riri Williams. Just so you know. So not only is she giving us a powerful performance on this level, we can imagine the level which she can go to. Because again, to get this type of drama and this type of captivating performance where it doesn't just sit there and go like, all right, yeah, you're just telling a story. We know what they did. We know what happens, blah, 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 blah. But you go forward. And that's not just with her. I just bring her up because of her being Riri Williams. But again, the homie, my boy from Chicago, my big bro, Laurel Howery in it. Again, the smaller role that's impactful because, again, he gives Bill the poison, if you will, to knock Fred Hampton out for when the raid happens and he is murdered in his sleep. And it is still, yes, it was settled by the police for $1.8 million. It was settled by the Chicago police, the state's attorney, and whatnot, and the FBI. That was their way of saying, can we stop talking about this? That was the government's way of saying that, but we know it was bullshit. There was no reason a man should be assassinated in his sleep. If you are already knocked out unconscious, you are no threat. If you know you've had a man who's been drugged, you know you wanted to kill him in the beginning. That's all you wanted. I fear when it comes to the recognition and the values that those who deserve to be praised sometimes won't be praised. Here's why I say this. I'll go back to Straight Outta Compton. The performances from Corey Hawkins, Jason Wright, O'Shea Jackson Jr., the members who all, Aldous Hodge, all of those who played the members of NWA, stands out, right? Captivating. Jason Wright made you believe in Eazy-E and everything. But the ones we all were worried about being nominated was Paul Giamatti. But that's because we know what the Academy Board is like. We know what the voting boards are like for these awards. So I say that being the performances that Dominique Fishback gives us, the performance that Lakeith Stanfield gives, because he is awe-inspiring. The power level in the performances between Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield, they parallel each other because they're powerful on two different levels. There is one man who is torn. His mind and his soul is being ripped apart from doing what he wants to do to save his own ass, but at the same time, he wants to do what's right. He's trying to do that while hiding his true identity, if you will. I'll go back to the comparison in a second. When you see George Sams comes in and talk about how he's on the run from the FBI because he found out he had a snitch. Turns out he's the snitch. Like, this shows you how deep the government was willing to go to try to take down the Panthers. Again, true story. The government infiltrated because they feared the power of black people together. It speaks volumes. They constantly kept trying to say, you hear in this movie, you hear, I can't remember the agents over Jesse Plemons' character, but they kept talking about how, and even Plemons tells Lakeith Stanfield at one point that the Black Panthers are no different than a Klan. And that is not the truth at all. That is not, and I don't say that just as a black man. Again, the Black Panthers never went out specifically to harm and target any race or people. Never went out to do that. All the Black Panthers ever did was stand up for the rights of wrongly persecuted black and brown people. You cannot compare the two. But again, when I go back to the power level performance, again, Lakeith Stanfield's level of power in his conflicted character. Daniel Kaluuya's level of power in this man who stands on his principles and his foundation. This man who is only 21 years old, by the way. Yes, I know when you see Daniel Kaluuya give his performance, you think he is way older. But again, the chairman was 21 years old when he was assassinated. Not killed, not just murdered, assassinated. That power scared white people. Call it what it is. That power scares white people. Because you don't fear what they want you to fear. You don't bow, you don't bend, you don't break. You see this. You have a sister in Deborah Johnson, played by Dominique Fishback, who was like, I'm with you. I'm ride or die with you. I believe in what we're doing. I see what we're doing. I see how we feeding these babies out here. No children going hungry on the south and west side of Chicago. I am a product of 7642 South Winchester in Chicago. I have seen the dilapidated neighborhoods. I went to Harper High School. I know how shit is bad. I have watched from growing up shit try to get better. Again, growing up on the tail end of those who were in the party and whatnot. Then they hear the story about Bill O'Neal, who killed himself after Eyes on the Prize aired because he felt he couldn't live with himself. He felt guilty. Yeah, he was getting money to run gas stations. When they paid him off, you see in the movie, because he constantly keeps asking, let me get the character's names just so I have it correctly, because I feel bad for not having it. Where is it? Oh, there it goes. Roy Mitchell, yeah. You have Bill O'Neal telling Roy Mitchell, yo, you got to start breaking me off. I need to get paid for this. The way to try to satiate his soul, like, if I'm going to do this, you got to pay me. So first you get a car. Lakeith's character, having a con artist mindset, throws the Panthers off his trail. But then when it's all said and done, the way he gets paid is a little bit of money and some keys to a gas station. Not hundreds of thousands of dollars, none of that. Pays off with a gas station. So yeah, it's legal money. Speaking of which, paid off, to use the term, you see at a point when everybody knows things are going down, the Crowns, the Lords, the Patriots, everybody's gotten together, giving money to Chairman Fred because he's about to go back to Menard, which they already know if he goes back to prison, he's going to die in prison. He knew it, everybody else knew it, but they're like, yo, take this money, take the sister and go to Cuba or go to Algeria. Go away, go start, Interpol, saying go and be a part of the organization down there. But he was stuck on my job. It's being here in Chicago and doing what I got to do for the party. And that's what we see. There's this movie with Martin Sheen as J. Edgar Hoover, with Jesse Plemons as Roy Mitchell, with the cops we see and everything, and the way they tormented black people in the neighborhoods, which again, real things, real fucking things. The feeling I had with this, I put on my Twitter. I felt leaving the theaters after I saw Higher Learning and Rosewood. If you are a black man or woman, there was a level of anger and rage that built up in you when you saw those films. You watched what happened. I'm not saying there wasn't anger and rage in anyone else that may have seen it, whether you be white, brown, does not matter. I'm not saying you didn't. But I know for a fact, black men and women leaving out of the theaters of Rosewood and Higher Learning were so angry. Because not only have we just seen it in a movie, we still see some of these things to this day. And when you see that, you'll see that same thing kind of in Judas and the Black Messiah. You'll have that feeling when you're done. Because you'll be like, you look at what the Black Panther Party had done, and now they are back. Yes, Fred Hampton Jr. is the chairman now, and they are still around. But you now have them with other parts of the movement, especially now the Black Lives Matter movement, and you see how people try to denigrate that, and people try to compare it to a terrorist organization because black people are asking for equality. And I've said it before on here in various reviews and podcasts, and I will say it always. If black people are just asking for equality, you should be lucky. Because if we start asking for revenge, then you get scared. But we're not. And we never have. We never have. Even as a small majority of the population. Why? Because again, Chairman Fred has shown that not only can you be a small percentage of the population, but you can bring those other denigrated parts of the population, those who are feeling down and out, those who are abused, those who are belittled, you can bring them into the fold, and then there's strength in numbers. But again, it's not meant to want revenge, it's for equality. But I want to know what you think about it in the comments below. All right, go ahead and like this video. Please subscribe. Share this video with others, man. Let me know. Did you see this? Have you heard the stories prior to this? Or if you have not, will you be checking out more and looking for different historical records? That's what I want to know for y'all. Please follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. J Washington. That's MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington. Check out the Mad Titan podcast everywhere you get your podcast from. I get you caught up on all the things happening in Marvel and DC, live action and cinematic universes. It is Barbershop Talk for Nerds. Come on in the convo. And every Tuesday and Thursday live, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. on the East Coast, it is Blurs in the Hood with myself and Winston A. Marshall. We cover the world of pop culture, entertainment, politics, sports, news, comedy, and a whole lot more from a blurred perspective when we are unapologetically black. You dig what I'm saying? So come on and holler with me there. I will talk to you guys later. Take care. I'm out. Bye.